Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight, I'm taking a look at the Bandai Star Wars model kit 1/12 scale General Grievous. Now, it's actually been a second since I put together a 1/12 scale action figure model kit. I believe the last one we got was Yoda, and that was a 1/12 scale statue with a 1/6 scale action figure. The little statue Yoda was interesting, but it didn't scratch that itch, you know what I mean? This is the one I've been waiting for a while. One, it's another Star Wars model kit. I love these things. And two, it's General Grievous. We haven't had a good action figure of him yet. Yes, Disney put out that one in their Elite line, but that thing wasn't that great. Figure Arts has been teasing theirs, but we haven't seen it yet. Model kit beat them. Of course, it's the same company, so I guess it's not really a competition there. But finally, General Grievous, another addition to the prequel shelf. To say I was excited about this is an understatement. Now, on the package, you have the pretty picture on the front, logos, names. On the side, you have reference pictures, some bio, stuff telling about the model kit built in pictures. On the end, pretty picture again. On the other side, the promotional picture for the model kit. Right here, some warnings, some unreadables. Well, I say unreadables, they're actually translated. Why ruin my fun like that? On the other end, pretty picture of Grievous. And then on the bottom, the standard just pit of nothingness. Opening the box, we get sprues. That's not a surprise. That's what you expected. Couldn't tell you what parts these are. I'm terrible at guessing puzzle pieces. On the other side is outer armor. You have the guts, like I thought. It's just one brown color that needs to be painted. The second set, again, armor pieces, looks like arms, legs maybe, and then the standard decals right there. Not a lot. I like that. Good. Another set of sprues looks like the cape parts. At least that's the part that goes over his shoulders. Lightsaber hilts, those look huge. They definitely aren't meant to be held by standard 6-inch figures. Another set, other hand. Probably the extra set of arms, the stand. Keep pulling out more and more sprues. It's going to take a while. Looks like inner parts. Let's see. The feet. He's a complicated droid, half person, half alien type thing, so there's going to be a lot of parts and pieces. Yeah, the cape is that material. It feels thicker than usual, but it's that cheesecloth looking stuff. Not a lot of flow, but I haven't opened it yet, so I don't know. And then, of course, the instructions. There's quite a bit. This may take a while. It looks a little bit complicated, which is fun. As long as the figure itself comes out pretty cool at the end, I'm happy to do the work. But I'm going to start building this, putting it all together, whatever. And as usual, I'm not going to show the whole build. Nobody wants to watch me put parts in the wrong place and then take it back apart, fix it, and then cuss at myself for 30 minutes for being an idiot. But if I run into any snags, any difficult parts, any things that take me an hour to figure out, I'll probably film that. And then at the end, I'll do a review of the figure itself. Okay, right off the bat, a cool thing is the eyes. And that's what I was worried about. I mean, with the Yoda kit, it was a decal to go in the eyes to give it detail, but with Grievous, I guess because it was yellow with the black inside, they went ahead and kind of molded black inside yellow. I'm not exactly sure if that's what it is, but on the sprue, there's some black going to the yellow, so I don't know. As long as it works, it looks great, it's symmetrical, we don't have to worry about painting it, we don't have to worry about putting decals on it. Yeah, it wins in my book. And then that goes behind the faceplate. And even without paint, the skin may be a little bit dark, but man, if you don't want to paint this, which I'm going to probably recommend painting it, it's kind of clean looking. If you don't want to paint it, you could probably get away with it. At least this far, you know, me putting 4 parts together. Almost there, almost done. Okay, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of, well, this was difficult. It's not difficult, it's just figuring this out. It took me a minute just now. I got the earmuffs in. I'm calling them earmuffs because I can. It's mine. But this piece that kind of goes under whatever this is, his snout, you have to wrap the 2 wires around and then kind of come in and push it up. Now, I would not recommend pushing it by these tiny, thin, little wires sticking up. I recommend getting right here and pushing it up towards, that was some shitty camera work, I apologize for that. Push it right here, and then it'll just kind of slide into position, it's wrapped around the front piece, and that's how it's supposed to go. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on that, but that's the way mine will be. Starting with the torso, we're going right to the heart of the matter. That joke took way longer than you would expect. It didn't just come off the top of my head. I worked on that for a minute. Would you look at that crazy, elaborate, damn pieces? I was going to say piece, but yeah, that's a lot of pieces. I didn't want to stop in the middle of this because I had a flow going. I was actually putting everything together without screwing it up. But, I mean, every piece of that is a different piece. It's crazy. Okay, I'm getting down to this. I don't know what the hell it is. It's something to do with around his neck area, and it's getting a bit complicated. And complicated in the way that it's little tiny thin pieces. So be very, very careful whenever you're pushing the parts together. Ooh, putting the neck together. If you're this far, you know the frustration that I just went through. Unless you're smarter than I am, which is a good possibility, and you figured it out right off the bat. Me, I've been sitting here for probably far too long. This elaborate damn thing. The whole key to the situation is plugging one peg into a hole right there and then getting these two bars up in there, which if you're looking at the instructions, that peg needs to go into that hole. And I don't know if it was mine or if I screwed something up or what happened there, but that peg was a pain in the ass to get in that hole. I had to go all the way back, tear it all the way back down and try to work that peg into that hole, which I finally did. Then I took it apart, rebuilt all this all the way back up to here, and now I have it to here. Now, I figured out that that has to go in that hole because of this step, and that's getting these 3 rectangle pins into these 3 slots, while putting this onto that ball and this onto those 2 pegs, all at the same time. I haven't successfully done it yet, and I'm almost done for the night, but I want to finish this. I want to see how cool this is. And don't get me wrong, this is just frustration stemming from my own inability to figure this out right off the bat. It's still coming out cool. I mean, it's damn elaborate. I mean, it's insane, all the details and little parts that are going on here. Once I finish the figure, I'm sure it's going to be amazing, but I got to get to that point. I got to finish it. Okay, and actually getting that pin I was talking about in the hole. Once I put the whole assembly on here, it seemed to go on, everything lined up. And I've noticed that with a couple of other pieces, because this is a lot of pieces at this point, and it's only the torso. But I think it was here, or maybe these wings, or something. Wings, you know what I mean. You had to get it perfectly lined up before it would actually go together. You could almost not put it together slightly crooked, which is a good thing. It keeps you from screwing up and having to take something apart or whatever, but whew. Okay, getting the leg together, nothing too super complicated. Again, a lot of parts, very elaborate. You're going to get sick of that, I know. It also says to put these 2 silver decals on before putting the parts on. I recommend doing that. Unless you're painting, if you're putting the decals on, it's easier with those parts off because it wraps around the piece. Okay, if you get over to the left leg and it feels like it skipped a step, it did, kind of. It skipped the lower leg, the dog leg on bottom, and that's because it's over here. These 2 parts are interchangeable, I guess. They're both numbered the same, and if you look, that says ×2. I didn't see that. I'm sitting over here going, what's going on there? And I was just about to figure it out all by myself, and I looked over and yeah, the joints are already built into this piece, and apparently some of these other pieces. I remember that from the battle droid a little bit, that some of the articulation was already put together. I don't know if it's done that way for durability or it's too small to snap together yourself. But again, as I move along, I guess I'll figure it out as I go. The arm is super interesting because, again, some of the articulation is already built in. The wrist, the ball joint at the bottom, pretty good range of movement for a model kit. But I didn't have to put that ball in there. It was already installed. And then right here, this piece is the hinge for the elbow. This piece actually goes down into the forearm. So when you bend it, you got to make sure that goes down in there. If you try to go too fast, it snags and pushes this bar up into this one. But if you go slow, it seems to want to do better. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. It seems a little bit thicker than what we've been seeing with the other ones, kind of like this cloth material. Maybe some wrinkles can be kept in it. Yeah, I don't know. It looks more like folds, though. Maybe some kind of heat, maybe? I'm not sure, but we will see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. And it's pretty much like I thought, and I think they advertised it that way. I don't claim to know, but it is a different set of arms for the split arms. You get the single arms, and then you just switch it out with the lightsaber wielding double arms. They look pretty good if you have them close together, but they don't actually pop together, I don't think. It does look like the hands are halfy hands, but they don't go close enough together. The wrists kind of run into each other. But as long as you have it close, it looks okay. But then they switch apart, ready to go. As I've built this, I've realized just how well thought out this whole thing was. Somebody is a CAD genius, is all I gotta say. And there you go, all built. And to say this is amazing is an understatement. I cannot gush enough about this thing. Sure, it has its downfalls. Sure, it's a model kit and it has its sticking points, but oh my God, good gravy, this thing. Looking at the sculpt, because every piece is a separate piece that you had to put on there, everything is well defined, sharp, the sculpt is freaking great. And because of the intricacy of the build, there's just so much to look at here. Every time you turn it or move it or bring it around, you're going to find, well, not something new, because you essentially held and touched every single piece of this when you put it together, but it's just visually interesting. If you were to hand this to somebody else, they'd be like, good God, what am I looking at here? Can't really speak too much of paint. There's no paint. I put a couple of the decals on, but everything is molded in the base color, which isn't terrible, but he could definitely use a wash. But it's a model kit. What'd you expect? You're supposed to paint it. And then getting up to the head, they did a fantastic job of the organic parts here. Sure, again, they're flat. They need some paint, but oh man, the eyes, the little skin showing up from under the helmet, it looks very sinister, very defined, very realistic. So, perfectly does its job here. Like I'm going to keep saying, it's amazing. It's blowing my mind. Now, one of the downfalls of it being a model kit and treating it like an action figure, which, yeah, you want to kind of take a little care whenever you're moving stuff around or moving the joints or whatever you care to do with your toys. But because it's a model kit, because you stuck everything together, there may be some problem pieces. I've noticed whenever I try to get down too far, he starts kicking on his hip joint right here, and this may pop off. Not a big deal when this happens. You just adjust and then put it back on, or leave it off because it was in the way. That's the cool thing about a model kit. And when it comes to the articulation, you got to be kind of methodical about it. You don't want to just go ripping into it, bending him over. That's weird. Bringing the arms around, you're going to end up popping something off. But, again, model kit goes right back on. You're good. One thing I do find odd is the guts, the organs, the lung, whatever. I don't know alien anatomy. But they put all that detail into there, and then it's mostly covered up. You can kind of see it if you angle in there and look through the green. And that's a great detail, but I wasn't sure what I thought. I guess I thought that this was going to open and you could see inside, but there's no way in hell I'm pulling all these parts off to get back in there. But it is something that I doubt we'll see from any other company. One of the perks of it being a model kit is it's light. And as awkwardly proportioned and tall and lanky as this is, the feet do a good job of giving it a stable base for it to essentially stand up. Yeah, you have to mess with it a little bit, but he's going to stand. That's cool. As long as you can get the feet flat, there you go. That's what I was worried about the most about this model kit or character or figure in general. Especially after the Disney Elite piece wouldn't hardly stand without a stand to hold it up. This is surprising and fantastic at the same time. Just great. Going over the articulation, I'm probably going to miss something here because there's some hidden points here and there, but for the head, when you pop it all the way down, it doesn't want to move much. No up and down, a little bit of side to side, because the head kind of jams down into the neck right there. But you can bring the head up higher on the ball joint right before you pull it off, and that gives you a good range of tilt. You can look to the sides, you can kind of look up, and you can look down a lot better. You have a ball joint coming out of the torso into the shoulder, so you can swivel all the way around. You can go out, you can angle back, you can angle forward, you can come around. Not a great range of movement, but enough. We talked about the elbow during the build. This piece goes up into the forearm. You got to be kind of careful when you bring it up, but it comes up pretty much 90. Ball joint in the wrist goes side to side, goes up and down, and then it swivels. There's a ball joint where the torso meets the waist. You can go back, you can go forward, you can go side, and then there's rotation there too. Ball joint going into the hip, you can't come out without popping the leg off, but you can come forward, you can go back. There is rotation in there. Double knee joint comes all the way up. There's a bend at the dog leg. If you try to straighten it out, that piece tries to split. Well, it's not going to do it now, of course, it's on camera, but you can only go about that far. Up about that far, but it helps when you have the leg really bent and you want to get the foot flat. The ankle's hard to show, but if you're building this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a hinge that goes side to side. Pull the foot off and it's easier. This ball joint actually goes side to side right there. So it gives you a little bit of extra tilt whenever you're getting the foot flat. And then the ball allows for back, forward. And that's what I was talking about. Even after moving him all around like that, there you go, standing again. He looks great, he's awesome, but that's probably the thing that makes me the happiest right there is his standing ability. For accessories, he comes with his cape, and I'm torn on this. I like it a little bit more than the capes they've given us in the past, not the rubber ones, but the cheesecloth type ones. But at the same time, it's a little flat, it's a little lifeless. The material seems to be doubled up. That's what's making it thicker. There's a black side, there's a red side, and then you have the plastic up at the top that sits around his shoulders. And you can fold some bends into it, but it still just doesn't look realistic. You know, it doesn't flow, it doesn't lay on him, it doesn't come out. So not terrible. I like it when you actually get it on him, which took me a couple of tries. Kind of got to get it positioned just right, and then it slips behind the collar right here. At first I was trying to get it up here. That doesn't work. And it sits on his shoulders well. He stands fine with the cape on. It doesn't look too awfully terrible, but when you get up close you can see that it's not the material you want it to be. What I would love is for a third party to come along with a cloth type cape and it somehow works into this shoulder mount, because I love that. That's nothing wrong with that. I like setting that out, and then I want the cape to drape down. For other accessories, he comes with 4 separate lightsabers. There's no decals for these, so if you want them to look different or a little bit of flair to them, you're definitely going to have to paint these. But nice little sculpts. It's 4 different lightsaber hilts. Completely works. And those go into his extra set of arms that actually split into 4 arms. And I'll get into that in a minute, but since I already have everything together, I'll also show that there is 2 green blades and 2 blue blades for the lightsabers. And unlike all model kits, to get them in the grip hands, you got to split the hands, put the weapon in, and then put the hands back together. So I'll be leaving it like this. That's why I'm holding the arm and the lightsabers. The lightsabers are bigger than 1/12 scale. Maybe Grievous got a hold of bigger Jedi or something. But as you can see, when you compare it to the SH Figure Arts lightsaber, it's bigger. Which when Grievous is holding them, it's not really noticeable. It's only when you get up on somebody else. And I remember somebody asking about the blades being flat on the end. They're not quite flat. They have a little bit of roundness to them, but not as much as what we see with other companies' lightsabers. And to switch out the arms, you just pull these out of the torso. Mine both have their own little weirdness to them. On the right, it's going to pull off at the shoulder ball, and then I have to get it in there and pull that out of the torso, put the arm back together. Not a huge deal. On this one, if I pull from here, this armor and this armor is going to pull off because they're attached together. So I have to get up under here and pull, and that comes out with the arm. And then the other arms just plug into that same hole. Now I found it best to grab it by the T-joint right there below the arms and push it in. That's also the best way to remove it without pulling arms off balls or whatever. And even with the extra arms and lightsabers, a little bit extra weight to it, still not a problem standing. Even getting all crazy with it. There you go. Boom. Yes, I love it. Now for the extra arms, you have a swivel up at the top on that T-joint, coming out to 2 ball joints, one for each arm. You have a ball joint in the elbow that you can actually kind of turn there. I've popped those out a couple times, but they just pop right in. And then you just have a swivel at the wrist on these. But because of the lightsabers, and it's going to be fighting and that sort of thing, I don't need ball joints at the wrist, really. You can kind of fake it with the ball joint at the elbow. For comparison, I was kind of torn. I didn't know if I should stand him straight all the way up or hunch him down or where to go with it. So he's slightly hunched here, but you can still see he fits in pretty much perfectly with the SH Figure Arts line. I had a request to put him next to the SH Figure Arts Battle Droid. Again, looks great. I'm glad I did this. I wouldn't have thought about this if somebody hadn't asked, so thank you for that. Here he is with the Bandai Model Kit Phase 2 Trooper. And since the Model Kit Troopers are about the same size as the Black Series Troopers, it's going to work in your mixed display too. And the Black Series Episode 3 Anakin. So at the end of the day, I have to say that somebody put their heart and soul into the design of this. Somebody sat on the CAD or whatever program they use to design these things and just spent days and months and hours and all their time pouring love into this figure, which translates into me loving the final product here. Absolutely loving it. I can see why they went with Yoda. It's kind of a simple build, and it's been a little while since we had a complicated build in here. They were all ramping up for this. I've said it in the past that, oh, this model kit is now my favorite. No, this model kit is now my favorite. The build was amazing, even though I feel like I should have a degree in engineering now. There was some stuff that didn't want to go together right. I had to figure it out. I had to take it apart, rebuild it, put it back together. But you know what? I still enjoyed the hell out of it. Seeing the final pieces come together as I was building them, even though I couldn't see it when I began. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. It's like a puzzle, trying to figure it out. And then to have such an amazing piece when you're finished, you can't beat that. That feeling of accomplishment that you just built that and it looks amazing on the shelf. It moves fantastically. It stands. It's a better figure than the figure that we had before. If you go back and watch the Disney Elite review, I hated that figure. It looked okay, but yeah, it was just kind of terrible. This is my General Grievous for the shelf. And I say that a lot with the model kits, even though I do still have a lot of model kits still on the shelf. And then Mafex comes along, or SH Figure Arts, and makes an amazing piece too. But I feel like this is going to be hard to beat. Sure, Figure Arts may finally come out with their Grievous, but it may be heavy. Joint here and there may be loose. It may be kind of hard to stand because of his proportions. This, I have no problem. It's an absolute joy to put into poses. It took me about 3 hours to build because I'm flipping between camera, recording a little bit, cutting pieces, and then I finished, and then I played with this thing for another 2 or 3 hours, and then I went and looked at pictures. I was up till 5 a.m. That's how much I love this piece. I'm an old hillbilly who should be in bed by midnight, and at 5 a.m. I was playing with this figure. If that's not a big enough endorsement for you, I don't know what is. Now, there could be some aging to the armor pieces. There could be some weathering to the darker parts, and I may eventually get to that. But if you don't want to paint, this is passable. I could probably keep rambling on and on about this. That's how much I love it. Just, there you go. I love this. Go get one. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on Fwoosh.